All right, we're officially live. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to my earnings stream. Swinging Bull with PB Alerts. Regular session is over. We are now in the post market. And we got two tech companies with earnings. Marvell Technology, which is MRVL, and CrowdStrike. CRWD, CrowdStrike, the bigger stock of the two, trading in the 500s here. Welcome, everyone. Got about 50 people in the stream now. More people joining. Hope everyone had a great Thanksgiving. We're back at it. Had a spread stream with the Discord this afternoon. Opened up a new trade. Coming off a winning trade from last week, which was a NVIDIA spread we did, which worked out very well. And of course, I have 4 different wheel strategy trades going at one time right now. I've been milking those for weekly and monthly income, sometimes bi-weekly. Blue Brains, good to see you. Shout out to my friend Blue Brains on YouTube. Okay, TA today. Yeah, there's a few other ones outside of these two. We got a little bit of time to burn here. Let's look and see what the other companies that we're reporting here. Okay, GitLab. Okay, TA. It's like $750 million revenue company here is what they're projected. American Eagle, Outfitters, so a little bit of retail in there. And Box. There's Dropbox. I use Dropbox almost every week. This is a Leslie's. I think that's the pool company. But the big ones, in my opinion, are MRVL and CrowdStrike. MRVL is supposed to report at 4:05 p.m. Eastern. It's got about 3 more minutes there. Forecast EPS 0.74. Forecast revenue 2.06 billion. They're anchored VWAP right at $80 a share. So they're trading above that today. CrowdStrike is supposed to report at 4:10 p.m. Eastern. So about 5 more minutes after MRVL. CrowdStrike's forecast EPS 0.94. Forecast revenue 1.21 billion. They're also trading just above their anchor VWAP. Anchor VWAP below 500, probably around 490-ish around there. This was also a spread trade I opened up earlier today. If I have time, I'll go over that later. Let's go back to the sticks. Yeah, I agree, Blue Brain. I think GitLab is going to be an interesting one. Pull them up. They're forecasted a positive EPS 0.20, revenue 238 million. They're anchored VWAP just below 50, probably around like 46, 47 a share. They're trading below that right now, so we'll check them out as well. 4:03 p.m. Eastern. Got about a minute and a half before we get MRVL. And just to let me get rid of this line here from earlier. For MRVL, going into the earnings, PE ratio forecast 40. They pay a small dividend. Look at CrowdStrike already running. Wonder if their earnings got released a little bit early. Information I had was 4:10 p.m. Eastern. So many salespeople on Kick. Would you like many viewers? Let's make you popular. I know Kick's kind of a newer social platform, if you will. We are streaming on there. Good to see my Kick people, but definitely got a lot of salespeople on there. Maybe this is just pre-earnings jitters here. So again, CrowdStrike is supposed to be 410, MRVL's 405. 25 more seconds for MRVL. Let me look at my other screen here and see what we got for MRVL. And let me just double check the times real quick. Yeah, 4:05. 4:05 for Marvell and 4:10 for CrowdStrike. Okay, still waiting on data. Okay, it's 4:05. MRVL just got a little volatile there. I'm gonna go 1 minute chart. See what we got. It wicked down to 91, and then it came up to 94. Now it's back down here in the red. Let's wait a minute and see. Let's get the real move here. Sometimes this first reaction sometimes isn't the right one, but sometimes it is. So we'll see. Been jumping around a little bit. They closed the regular set. This is for Marvell Technology. They're red 2% in after hours right now. Let's give it a few more moments. I'll look up the EPS and revenue while we're waiting. Okay, it does look like Marvell double beat. I wonder if they decreased guidance down. Over 500 people tuning in. Good to see everybody. Swinging Bull with PB alerts. All right, got a nice little group in Discord as well. Okay, let me put this aside. I got a graphic from earnings correspondent here. So again, forecast EPS 0.74. They reported 0.76, so small beat there. Revenue 2.07 billion. They reported 2.075. So that more or less came in line. Maybe investors were wanting a bigger revenue beat on this one. EPS and revenue are green across the board, year over year, quarter over quarter. I'm going to dig a little deeper in this because obviously there's something negative going on here. And we're going to jump up over to CrowdStrike. We've got about 4 more minutes for CrowdStrike. So, all right, let me take a look. Got some good data here from Wolf Financial. All right, let's see here. Marvell delivered an inline top line, strong, profitable, and guided Q4 revenue and margins slightly higher as AI and cloud infrastructure demand continue to drive results. And we already went over revenue and EPS, but they are getting a negative reaction here, folks. So let me see if I can find a red flag somewhere. They're down 3.6%. Wicked all the way down to 88.50. Let me go bigger time frame, just see some areas of interest here. So it's trading at 90 bucks here in the post market. Got my 9 and 21 EMA here lined up, kind of like the mid 80s. Let me look at the volume profile just for a second. I like to see where the volumes come in at. So we just kind of zoom out a little bit. Yeah, I mean, there was quite a bit of volume that came in around like 80, 86 to like 80, 89, around there. That's kind of where the price is holding up. You can see this where all the volume came in. This is price action. Let me see, towards the end of September, so October, November. This is like 2 months of price action. You can see where a lot of the volume came in. Those are definitely areas of interest. So I don't know if you could see this blue line on my chart. That's the post-market price for MRVL. It's just kind of sitting right on this volume shelf right now. So it's kind of at support right now. If it loses like the mid 80s, I'd probably be looking around 83 bucks for a scoop, or maybe see if it bounces there. You can see a lot of volume came in right here. I'm gonna put a horizontal line at 83, and I'm gonna say probably like 88. I kind of like 88 because it's sticking out like a sore thumb right here. Pier62 said follow his Twitter at WizKick. Shout out to Pier62. Welcome to the stream. So we got some levels plotted out here. I'm looking for 88 bucks. Support level number 1 to hold. Support level number 2 on MRVL, right around 83. This is just based off of volume on the bigger time frames, okay? Nothing really fancy to this. It's holding at 89 bucks right now, so let's see if that 88 holds or not. I'm gonna go back intraday 1 minute chart. It's trying to bottom out right around 88 and some change, but still printing a red candle. Let's take a look at some retrace levels here. I'm not going to count this top wick because that obviously wasn't the real reaction here. It's got the 25% retrace lines up right around, probably around 90 bucks. But still got some more selling coming in. So let's wait and see what ends up happening. I still want to find out what's up with the selling. I think the lowered guidance, I would think. But let me check a few other things here. And also going to Marvell signed an agreement to acquire Celestial AI for $3.2 billion. Look at CrowdStrike getting a negative reaction here. CrowdStrike's down 1.5%. Let's give that a minute to settle. Give me 1 second. So not really seeing too much red flags on Marvell. Maybe investors aren't happy they're spending a few $1 billion to buy another company. Maybe that's it. Quietly strong quarter. They just made a new after hours low. Okay, so they're selling off. Next level I'm looking at is going to be, I'm going to get rid of this fib. So broke the 88 we were looking at on the daily. 83 bucks. That's my next level down. That's what I would be looking at. So still got some selling inbound. I'm gonna get rid of this 88 level since that got breached. Bottom's not in yet. If you're looking for a bounce trade, trying to trade this in after hours with limit orders, bottom's not in yet. I'd rather sacrifice a little bit of the reversal to make sure the bottom's in. So that's usually how I trade. I normally wouldn't go long on this right now because we don't know, the selling hasn't really slowed down or, stopped or even slowed down. CrowdStrike over on the right here. CrowdStrike's data's out. So let me look at that. TK says you dodged a bullet on MRVL. Yeah, I'm glad you avoided any potential drawdown that you might have had if you didn't manage the position. Okay, CrowdStrike was looking ugly at first, and now it's popped up green. So maybe out of these two, we actually get one that's with a positive reaction. Over 800 people tuning in. What's up, everybody? Been doing these earnings streams all year now. Built up quite a presence on X and got a pretty good following on YouTube and streaming on Twitch and Kick as well. But yeah, good to see everybody. Hope everyone had a great Thanksgiving. I want to find out when Marvell's earnings web call is and how to get there. But okay, here's let me look at the guidance here. Okay, their sales guidance came in line, so they didn't mess with and that's the Q4 guidance. Net income came in at 655 million versus the estimate of 641 million. I'm gonna post this data here. This is from my buddy Shy on X. And I'll put this on the bottom of my screen so people can see the results. So double beat, red in after hours. It doesn't look like they messed with Q4 guidance in a negative way. I mean, they didn't increase it, so but it doesn't look like they decreased it either. Q4 sales guidance 2.2 billion. The estimate was 2.2 billion. EPS guidance for Q4 79 cents. The estimate was 77 cents. And again, they signed the agreement to acquire Celestial AI for 3.3 billion. So maybe investors aren't happy they're spending that money. Once I find any more red flags, I'll definitely let everyone know. But not really seeing anything too crazy. Double beat. $1.8 billion gain from divesting the automotive Ethernet business. This is Marvell. We'll go over to CrowdStrike here in a second. I think with Marvell, their revenue basically came in line. I think investors were wanting to see a beat there. Revenue is pretty important for a company like that. And it came in line. So nothing fantastical about the revenue. You look at and they also repurchased $1.3 billion in Q3 in shares. Cash flow from operations, 582 million. Still looking for some negative info. There's a statement from the CEO of Marvell. Marvell delivered record third quarter revenue of 2.075 billion, exceeding the midpoint of guidance, driven by strong demand for our data center products. We are guiding for robust growth in the fourth quarter and are on track for a strong finish to the fiscal year. That was said by Matt Murphy, the chairman and CEO of Marvell. Let's look at some other things here. Okay. There are some negative things on the year-over-year numbers on some of these line items, so I'll just go over it real quick because I know people are wondering why is Marvell down when they had, from a bird's eye view, looks like good earnings. And I just found here their automotive industrial revenue is down 58% year over year. That's kind of sticking out like a sore thumb there. Okay, so they brought in 35 million on that line item. Same time last year, they brought in 82 million. So they got hit hard on the revenue on the automotive industrial side. I think maybe that has a bit to do with why they're a little red here. Outside of that, the earnings look good. So, like I say, if it was me, not financial advice, but trying to trade this in after hours with limit orders, looking for a bottom, I like to see some green candles print before I enter, because other than that, you're going to be chasing the bottom. So let's see. I'm going to put a fib back on this thing now that it's printing some green candles now. Again, I'm not going to count this top wick. Count this top of the body of this candle here. So got the 9 EMA lining up right at 88 bucks a share. And that's that level on the bigger time frame we spotted based on volume. Looks like 88 might be a little bit of a resistance right now. So resistance level number 1, 88. I'd like to see that level get reclaimed before I even think about dip buying this thing. And so I like 88 as a good level to reclaim. Make sure it doesn't turn into a dead cat bounce. And then probably the golden ratio up here around 90 bucks, $90 and some change. That's going to be my R2. Need 88 and 90 to get taken out, and then I'll feel good that this is, if 88 gets taken out, I consider maybe taking a nibble on this. But definitely needs to break $90 to get back in the swing of this, for me to have more confidence that this is in fact retracing. Let me find out when, so that was a little bit of negative I found. They got crushed on the automotive and industrial revenue, down 58% year over year. And not too sure investors are thrilled about them spending $3.3 billion to acquire another company. I mean, I guess that's growth, taking over another company, but that's a big check they're going to have to write there. But so let me go back over to MRVL's investor relations page and find out when they're doing their earnings web call. So I know people want to know that. Just take a look. Okay, so we got the earnings conference call. I'm going to post this link in the chat if anyone wants to know how to get to the earnings web call. That's a link right there. I'll post it on the bottom of my screen. All right, pretty easy link, investor.marvell.com. That takes you to investor relations page. And you can see right here, event details right on their home page right here. View event details. And let's just, okay, so it's at 1:45 p.m. Pacific time, which is going to be 4:45 p.m. Eastern. So their earnings web call is not for another 30 minutes or so. So everyone has a little bit of time to burn before that even goes down. And you just click this link here, register for webcast. And they'll probably make you fill out like a little form with your name and email. Or maybe not. It says right here, add event to calendar. So it'll let you right in if you go there. But yeah, right on their homepage, you see the link to their webcast right there, and it's at 4:45 p.m. Eastern. Look, it just tried to break 88, but it failed very, very quickly. So that's not promising that the bottom's in yet. Might turn into one of those lowercase h bearish patterns. You know, it kind of looks like a lowercase h. You get the little pole here, and then it kind of makes the lowercase h pattern and comes down to test after hours low. It's kind of looking like what it's doing right now. I like trading these bearish h patterns. I trade them a lot. Support level number 1 after hours low. It doesn't get any clearer than that. It's right around 86.40. Made a solid attempt to get back above 88, and there's just some more selling going on. So we know when Marvell is going to have their earnings web call. It's at 4:45 p.m. Eastern. The link on the bottom of my screen is how you get there. I'm personally not going to stream it because I still want to go over CrowdStrike. It's already 4:20 p.m. So let me get the data for CrowdStrike. I know most of the people are probably here for CrowdStrike. It's a $500 stock, you know, very popular stock. So let's see what we got. My buddy Shai came through again with the data. Thank you, brother. Shout out to my boy. Okay, so they also double beat. CrowdStrike, I'm going to put the EPS and revenue in the comments right now. There we go. I'll just pop it on the bottom of my screen. The forecast for the revenue, sales revenue, was 1.22 billion. They just reported 1.23 billion. So not like a fantastical, crazy beat. Kind of came in line. Similar with the EPS. I mean, they did beat it. The forecast was 0.94. They reported 0.96. Free cash flow, they missed on free cash flow. Oh, no, I'm sorry. They beat free cash flow by 20 million. So free cash flow, the estimate was 276 million. They reported 296 million. Thanks, Jericho on X. Appreciate you. Let's look at the guidance. Fiscal year 2026 guidance for CrowdStrike. The sales for the guidance for 2026, the estimate was 4.79 billion. They just reported 4.8 billion. So they did increase the guidance. Same thing with the EPS guidance. The estimate was 3.68, and they increased it to 3.71. Unfortunately, there's a little bit of selling going on, but overall, these earnings look good. Okay, the Falcon Flex is up 200% year over year. Let's take a look at a few other things. All right, CrowdStrike delivered another strong top-line beat with robust cash generation. This is from Wolf Financial, our partner company. CrowdStrike delivered another strong top-line beat with the robust cash generation, expanding adjusted profitability, even as GAAP losses persisted. Guidance points to continued momentum heading into year end. Okay. That's all fine and dandy. Let me see if I can, let me get rid of this screen right here. Pull this over. And I want to look for some other line items and information here for everybody. Record Q3 net new ARR 265 million. The growth accelerates to 73%. Record cash flow from operations. I mean, a lot of these line items are green across the board here. I mean, I'll show you what I'm looking at here. You see all these different line items. There's beats across the board for CrowdStrike. So, you know, it's selling off a little bit. I mean, it's not down too bad. I mean, it's only down 56 cents a share. This is a $500 stock. The candles look a lot uglier than it actually is. I mean, it's trading right below where it closed the regular session, basically. So it doesn't look terrible, but they're also not catching a bid either, you know. So I'm just thinking investors wanted more fantastical earnings data and to kind of get blown away, right? In a good way. And neither one of these companies really beat earnings. Like neither one of them really smashed it in a good way. I mean, they're good earnings, but it's just not anything that's like getting investors really excited about things. But nonetheless, they both beat. And here's a little graphic. I'll keep CrowdStrike on the right here. We kind of went over this a little bit, but they beat EPS forecast. They beat revenue forecast. Year over year and quarter over quarter numbers for EPS and revenue, both green. A little soft on the quarter over quarter numbers, but year over year, double-digit growth there. The earnings don't look bad. They don't look bad. And I don't see anything like crazy, popping off the screen here that's like oh, damn, what's that? It doesn't look bad. And they increased guidance for fiscal year 2026. Here's a nice little graphic on CrowdStrike regarding their quarterly revenue. Look at this growth, y'all, dating back to 2018. Just going to the moon with this revenue. So it's a good visual there on their quarterly revenue growth, if you will. I'll move this back over to the side. So yeah, the earnings don't look bad. I'm almost wondering if investors are waiting on the actual earnings web call, and maybe there'll be a secondary move there. Very well could happen. No one knows the future, but I did notice their operating margin came in flat year over year. So that could be looked on negatively. Revenue was a beat. EPS was a beat. Fiscal year, so the remainder of Q4, basically remainder of this year, they raised the revenue guidance by around 20 million. Let's find out when their earnings web call is, because I think investors are just patiently waiting for them to maybe paint a clearer picture about the guidance. Of course, investors in the markets are forward looking. Metin on YouTube wants to know why Marvell falls. Yeah, we were talking about that earlier. And the red flag I saw was their year over year change for the automotive and industrial revenue was down 58%. And they're spending $3.3 billion to acquire another company. I don't know if investors are liking that. That's a big check they got to write. But the red flag I saw with Marvell was, again, down 58% year over year on the automotive industrial revenue. So that can definitely be looked at negatively. Outside of that, and them having to they're going to have to write a $3.3 billion check to buy another company. I don't really see too many other red flags. I'll keep digging in it though, and let everyone know if I find any more negative data on it. But sometimes that's just the way it goes. It didn't look like they messed with the guidance in a negative way or anything like that. And here it is here. It looked like it wanted to bottom out around 86.50, and now it just made a new after hours low. So they do have some issues with their year over year numbers with some of the line items on the revenue side regarding the automotive and industrial portions of their business. So hope that information helped a little bit there, Metin, and on YouTube. Again, if I find anything else, I'll definitely let you know. I want to let's go back to CrowdStrike, and I want to find out when they're going to do their earnings web call. And again, for those just joining the stream, Marvell is doing their web call at 4:45 p.m. Eastern. So it's about 15 more minutes before that even goes down. And I'm going to put the MRVL link on the bottom of my screen. Starts in 15 minutes. That's how you get to the investor web call for any of the Marvell investors out there. Hopefully I saved you a little bit of time by getting that link for you. But let's look at CrowdStrike, see when they're going to do their call, because they're kind of just flat. I mean, they are a little green, They're trading $1 a share above where they closed the regular session. Marvell still having tough time printing higher lows. That's what I'm waiting for on MRVL. If it starts printing some higher lows, then I'll have some confidence that the bottom's in. It just hasn't done that yet. It made an attempt to do it right here, but it came back down to basically the after hours low at the time. It did not print a higher low, so that's not a signal for reversal for me. It still hasn't been able to print a higher low. Until it starts printing higher lows, I'm not convinced the bottom's in. Okay, just my opinion about it. But back to CrowdStrike. Their earnings weren't bad, and they increased guidance. It's just kind of sitting flat right now. Investors just probably waiting on that earnings web call. So let me see if I can find out when that is. See, it's probably at 5 o'clock, maybe. Let me just take a look for everybody. Okay, I'll keep CrowdStrike's price on the right of my screen over here. But let's take a look. Okay, December 2nd. Here's the press release. If you want to take a deeper dive into their earnings, I'm going to post this link for everyone. There we go. And I'm going to post it in the Discord too. Can't forget about my Discord peeps. That's the link that'll get you to CrowdStrike's earnings web call. Now, Ron on Discord says small beats usually don't move stocks up that have higher PEs. Yeah, and that's kind of what I was thinking. Like investors kind of, a lot of news lately about tech, being overvalued, and then a possible bubble and this and that. And I just think the earnings have to really be great and fantastic to blow investors away. For it to catch a bid and there be more buying coming in. And if the earnings are just coming in line, there's not really any crazy huge beats. It's really not too exciting, right? And sometimes that leads investors to maybe trim their position, take some profit, Let me just look at some other things. Okay, yeah, I want to post this link. Okay, so this is the link to the CrowdStrike investor relations page. If you scroll down a little bit to press release, you can take a deeper dive into their earnings. You can see a bunch of their highlights, and there's even some commentary from the CEO. So I can kind of go over real quick. It's a little after 4:30. So CrowdStrike is the enabler of secure AI transformation with the right architecture, the right products, and the right execution. It was said by George Kurtz, the founder and CEO. I have a feeling there's going to be a lot of sugarcoating going on in this commentary while the price is down and after hours right now. But he says Q3 was one of the best quarters in company history. We achieved record Q3 net new ARR of $265 million, accelerating to 73% year-over-year growth. I think that's one of the main highlights they're trying to convey here. And they say our single platform strategy coupled with the Falcon Flex subscription model unlocks consolidation, positioning CrowdStrike as the operating system of cybersecurity. We delivered an acceleration and ending ARR growth across our endpoint business, as well as cloud security, next-gen identity, and next-gen SIEM collectively. And marquee partnerships with AWS, CoreWeave. Commenting on the company's financial results, Bert, the CEO of CrowdStrike, his name is Bert, we delivered outstanding third quarter results, exceeding expectations across all guided metrics. Total revenue growth accelerated 22% year over year. We delivered record cash flow from operations, $398 million, record Q3 free cash flow of $296 million. We are capitalizing on the AI-driven demand environment as customers consolidate on the Falcon platform, driving our pipeline to an all-time high. Given this momentum, we are raising our fiscal year 2026 guidance. That's what we were going over earlier. They raised their guidance. Additionally, we have increased our second half fiscal year 2026 net new ARR growth expectations to at least 50% year over year and remain confident in delivering 20% net new ARR growth for fiscal year 2027 from our increased fiscal year 2026 expectations. And you can read some of these highlights down here if you want. But of course, they're not going to really talk about anything negative. And that's if there even is anything negative. I mean, the price is holding up. It's technically green. It's up 66 cents per share, which is just a drop in the bucket because this is a $500 stock. But if you want to look deeper into earnings, you can click this PDF here. And this will break down everything. This is a 16-page PDF document. And this will go over all of their earnings straight from CrowdStrike. This isn't some news article from some analyst. This is straight from CrowdStrike, okay? So I'm sure CrowdStrike and investors, especially long-term investors, are probably interested in reading this 16-page document. I'm not going to go line for line on this. We kind of already went over a summary of their earnings. And it's not bad, but like TK was saying over here in the Discord, it really has to blow investors away for this to catch a bid. And the EPS and revenue forecast basically came in line. So not anything great, but not anything bad either, you know. So, but let me go to events and presentations, find out when this call is. I know that's why most people are here. Okay, 2 p.m. Pacific time, so 5 p.m. Eastern. So about 25 more minutes is their earnings web call. And I got the link on the bottom of my screen. That's how you get there. I'm not going to personally stream it, but the least I can do is get you all the links for it and let you know what time it's going to be, and then show you how to get the PDF document so you can dig deeper in the earnings if you want to. So, you know, I do feel like for CrowdStrike, there could be a secondary move when they do their earnings web call in about 25 minutes. But other than that, we're just gonna have to wait and see because the price it's just not moving. I'm on TradingView right now. I mean, it's moving a little bit. Closed the regular session at $516.55 a share. What's up almost 2.5% on the day. Had kind of a ugly little volatile pullback here. I think most stocks had that today. And but other than that, kind of trended up for the rest of the day, leading up to the earnings announcement. Marvell trying to bottom out around 85. I'd call that maybe 85 to 86 a share. We'll see if that holds. Again, I'm not convinced that this is going to retrace back up until it prints a few higher lows. It hasn't done that yet. A potential higher low could be forming around 87 and some change. There's a little bit of buying coming in right now. Let me put this fib back on here now that it could be bottoming. Wow, look at these fib levels lined up so beautifully. Support level number 1 on Marvell for post-market price action, 87.50. Support level number 2, 85.50. Keep it simple. Dealing with the level right now, 88.50. Hostelis on YouTube asks, how is Marvell going short even though earnings call was above expectation? The earnings call isn't for another 10 more minutes. It's at 4:45 p.m. Eastern. But the earnings data did look good. I did see some red flag. I'd mentioned this earlier, but there was a red flag I saw on their earnings, and it was the year-over-year growth for the revenue. Just there was no growth. It actually was down 58%, and that's the automotive industrial section of their business. That revenue was down 58% year over year, and they're forking out $3.3 billion to buy another company. So I'm thinking that might have a little bit to do with why there's some selling going on. Outside of that, though, their earnings weren't bad. I definitely, not financial advice, just my opinion. This could just be a short-term pullback, so I wouldn't maybe freak out too much. And we were talking, I was talking with TK over in the Discord here a little bit ago also, that these tech earnings, they really have to blow investors away. They really have to be fantastical and excellent. The earnings kind of just came in line. So it wasn't like they had these huge beats on EPS and revenue, kind of came in line. So that's why I'm thinking, that's why there's not really any buying going on and there's actually selling going on. investors just weren't excited about it, because everything just kind of came in line. And then, like I said again about Marvell, you know, they have some revenue issues with their automotive and industrial portion of their business. Big problems. It was down 58% year over year. It's not good. Everything else looked pretty solid though. So it's going to have to wait for the earnings web call at 4:45 p.m. Eastern, which is about 5 minutes. So I hope that clarifies a little bit there on this is for Hostelis on YouTube, who asked about Marvell. Always make sure I can answer the questions in the chat for everyone. I'd like the stream to be engaging as possible. But yeah, we got our earnings results for both companies. Again, the earnings weren't really bad, but they weren't great either. A lot of things just came in line. There was some good growth there on the majority of the line items. Just maybe one or two line items for Marvell that they kind of got hit hard on the revenue side, but kind of isolated sections of their business, I think, as far as automotive and industrial goes. The same time last year, they pulled in 85 million in revenue, and this year they only pulled in like 30-something million. That was down like 58%. So that's the red flag I saw there. But yeah, got a nice group in the stream. It's 1,000 people tuning in. My name's TheSwingingBull with PB Alerts. I did want to mention, if anyone's looking for 4 high probability stock setups that you can get delivered to your inbox every morning at 9 a.m. Eastern, check the first link in the description. It doesn't cost any money. I'm not here to sell you anything. It's totally free to get that. We've gotten some really good feedback on those emails that we're sending out. So 4 high probability trade setups delivered to your inbox every morning at 9 a.m. Eastern. It's free to get the list every morning. So I figured I'd just throw that out there for everyone as a little present. Doesn't cost anything, and I love things that are free. Okay. Also, if you're looking for a new home, just a new supportive community, check out our Discord. There's also a link in the description for that. You can join the free section and see how you like it. I'm the options coach over in the Discord, and I mainly, I'm a contract writer. I'm like a little mini market maker. Most of my trades are sell to open. I'm usually collecting credit on most of my trades. And that's my bread and butter. I write contracts. So if you're sick of the rat race of trying to day trade every day, there is a better way to do this. You can actually be on the selling side of the opening transaction, you know, play the other side of the field, and win rate's a lot higher. And yes, it does cap our upside, but it generates consistent weekly or monthly income. Sometimes we do biweekly. And that's what I focus on. So my name's TheSwingingBull in the Discord. If you join, tag me in the chat. I'll come by and say hello, you know, and maybe there's something we can chat about that can help you right away. Especially if you've got some positions that maybe, you know, you've had for a while and you got a lot of drawdown on them and you're just not sure what to do. Not financial advice, but I can show you what I would do with those positions if they were my positions, especially if they have an options chain. You know, we can, depending on how many shares you have, we can use those shares as collateral and start writing contracts against your shares to help lower your cost basis. And, you know, we can look at we can take a deep dive into the financials and just see what the condition of the companies are in. Look at the income statement, the balance sheet, PE ratio, EPS, debt to asset ratio, what's their cash and equivalent position, things of that nature. There's a lot of things we can look at to gauge a company, you know, fundamentally. And that's what I like doing. But yeah, it's about 4:45. So I'm going to go ahead and sign off. Marvell's earnings web call starting in about a minute. All right. So I'm going to put that link back up for them. I'll leave it up there for a few more moments so people can screenshot that. Their earnings web call starts in 1 minute. It's at 4:45 p.m. Eastern. That link will take you right there. Maybe we get a secondary move when they start their web call and the higher ups start talking about the guidance in more detail. It does look like Marvell wants to possibly bottom around the mid 80s, around 85, 86 bucks. It did try and bottom before that around 86.50. That didn't hold, made a new after hours low. Now I'm going to be watching for higher lows to print. I would like this above 90 bucks before I try and buy this dip. That's just me. I don't mind sacrificing a bit of the reversal move to make sure the bottom's in, because you don't want to try and bottom feed here around 85 and then this thing goes to 80 and now you're going to have drawdown right in the beginning of the trade. I don't mind sacrificing a little bit of the reversal move to make sure the bottom's in. That's just me. But anyways, yeah, that's YD on YouTube asks, what is the sideways volume indicator? Yeah, this is called the volume profile. I love this indicator. I especially love using it on the bigger time frames. Let me get rid of this fib here just to show you. So it tells you where a lot of the volume comes in at different levels. And they're definitely areas of interest. It's a TradingView indicator. You can see volume gaps. So it's safe to say, like this level here, this is the daily chart on Marvell. It's right around 73 and some change. It's pretty safe to say if that level fails, there wasn't a lot of volume that came in below there. So it could be like a little magnet down to this next volume shelf, which is around 67. So I love the indicator. I mainly trade based off of price action and volume. I do use a few indicators, but I don't use a lot. You know, I think if you got like 10 indicators, you're going to have a lot of conflicting data. There's just too much going on. I just use a few. I like RSI for strength. I've been trading for about 10 years now. That's just what works for me. The simpler, the better is what I've learned over the years. I use the RSI for strength. I love that. I do use two EMAs, exponential moving averages, as compared to regular simple moving averages. The reason why I use EMAs is because they react to price a little bit quicker than just the regular moving averages. But I use the 9 and the 21. And then, of course, I like every now and then I'll pull up the 200 simple moving average, because that is a level a lot of traders look at and investors look at. So I'll pull that up every once in a while just to make sure it's on the right side of the 200. But overall, I'm looking at the 9 and the 21 for trends, and especially crossovers like the blue 9 and the green 21. You see the bullish crossover here. You're going to have a sweet swing trade right there. Use your stop loss. Just use the EMAs as your stop loss. Price falls below there, just stop out. But that would have been a nice run here on Marvell back in September with that crossover there. So things like that. And then again, I use candle prints. I like looking at candle prints, and then also volume. I want to know how much volume came in at what levels. And that seems to work for me. And I have a really good success rate, and I just keep it simple. No need to overcomplicate things. Again, I specialize in writing contracts. So most of my trades are sell to open. And then when I take early profit or close them out, I'm actually buying to close. So a little bit different from what, regular day trading naked options or something. But yeah, if you've ever been, anyone's ever been interested in how to write contracts, and I've run a ton of the wheel strategy, cash secured puts to enter stock, collecting premium. And then once we get assigned covered calls to exit stock for profit, and we make premium and see how many rounds of covered calls we can get in before our shares get called. And then the wheel fully rotates and we just rinse and repeat. Of course, the key thing with that is doing it on stocks you don't mind owning. Okay, I try not to do the wheel on crappy stocks. And I definitely don't touch biotech, pharmaceutical, or therapeutic companies. You're just asking for problems, trying to wheel that crap. So it's got, I would prefer the company to have a positive net income. I would prefer the company to have a positive PE ratio and a positive EPS. If they pay a dividend, that's even better. And I like a low debt to asset ratio. So I do have a little checklist that needs to be met before I do trade certain companies, right? But yeah, almost 5 o'clock. I had a real fun time. Pretty good earnings week we got lined up. this week. I'll just kind of go over what we got for tomorrow. So I have two big tech companies today. Tomorrow's a big one. Salesforce and Snow. Okay, that's a big deal. So more tech earnings tomorrow. Okay, and we got C3 AI reporting. Five Below, that's a big revenue company. So it's like a retail there. That's Five Below, right? The retail company, I believe. And so we'll get some indication on consumer spending when we get their results. So that'll be nice to see. And we got a few others. We got Tilly's right here. Some lower revenue companies. PVH is $1 billion revenue company. You might look at that one. But the top two, CRM, which is Salesforce, and then Snow, which of course is Snowflake. Those are the two I'm covering tomorrow for sure. And then Thursday, we got DocuSign. Interested in, they're projected about a little over 800 million in revenue. And then we got Ulta Beauty. Get some more insight into consumer spending and consumer sentiment. When Ulta Beauty comes, get their earnings. We got ChargePoint, I know, but I'm mainly going to be covering on Thursday DocuSign and Hewlett Packard. Those are the two I'm covering, and we'll take some peeks at Ulta Beauty because again, I'm interested in the consumer sentiment on their sales and stuff like that. But yeah, other than that, I hope everyone enjoyed the stream. Again, my name's The Swinging Bull with PB Alerts. I hope everyone has a fantastic night, and until next time, I'll see everyone in the very next stream. Cheers.